on Vegas Nation Blitz, we highlight a Raiders' secret weapon. We also hear from Maxx Crosby, and we bring you the latest from Allegiant Stadium. All of that and more on Vegas Nation Blitz.
Excited to know where we're going to be playing, and excited to have a city that is excited about having us.
We are now the Las Vegas Raiders.
Welcome back, everyone, for another episode of Vegas Nation Blitz. I'm your host, Cassie Soto. Well, we do know that the Raiders picked up 7 new players in this year's draft class, and they, of course, bring their own style of play and technique. But with one player, it is still a little bit of a mystery as to how the Raiders will utilize him on the team. So for more on that, let's go ahead and bring in our very own Raiders beat writer for the Las Vegas Review-Journal, Vinny Bonsignore. Vinny, the Raiders went ahead and picked up Lynn Bowden Jr. with the 80th overall pick in this year's draft. That guy out of Kentucky. What do we know about him as far as where the Raiders are going to utilize him on the field this year?
Well, a couple of things. Mike Mayock, the Raiders general manager, has been describing his role as a joker role, which in NFL translation is "wouldn't you like to know?" So you're going to see him all over the place. And what was really funny is I talked to him a little while ago, and I asked him, hey, virtual OTAs, how's it going, blah, blah, blah. Where are you training? What position are they planning to use you at? And he's like, yeah, man, I'm not allowed to say. I'm not at liberty to tell you that information right now. So there's no doubt that they've got some plans for young Mr. Bowden, and they don't want anyone to really know what those plans are. But when you look back at what he did in college, specifically last year, he moved to quarterback after not playing quarterback since high school. So that would have been 4 years prior to that. He moved to quarterback in the middle of a game. The team wasn't doing well. He wasn't getting the necessary touches. He was their best player, obviously. And finally said, look, just snap the ball to me, get the middleman out of there, let's get this going. And so he ran for well over 1,000 yards. He caught passes for over 400 yards. He threw for over 300 yards as the quarterback. So obviously he could do a lot of different things. And I think the Raiders want to tap into all of those activation points and unleash him on defenses in all sorts of different ways.
Well, how does a hybrid player like that, Vinny, really, I would say, confuse other teams because they don't know where to prep for him come game day, where he'll be on the field? How is that really an advantage for the Raiders?
Well, there's all different types of packages that you can utilize him in. You could put him in the slot. He's technically a running back, so you'll see him line up in the backfield. I think you're going to see some direct snaps to him. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some, pitch it out to him and have him throw the ball. I think he can line up wide. So it's just all these different ways that you're going to be able to get him the ball as a runner, as a pass catcher, and at times as a thrower, or just a direct snap, taking off, running the ball in some sort of a run pass option type of a package. So a whole bunch of different ways. I can't wait to see what John Gruden is cooking up.
Well, I'm sure fans can't wait either, and I'm sure they are counting down the days for football, NFL to get back on the field and resume play. Vinny, thank you so much. Well, for the latest in Raiders social media, let's go ahead and bring in Las Vegas Review-Journal social media manager Adrian Iadarko. Adrian.
Thanks, Cassie. So the NFL and Commissioner Roger Goodell put out a statement on Twitter on Friday, and they said they condemn racism and the systematic oppression of black people. They also admitted that they got it wrong, and they were wrong for not listening to players earlier. And they now encourage everybody to speak out and use their voice by protesting peacefully. So it's good to see the NFL finally getting this right and taking a strong stand, but it's also sad that it took years and it took the death of more black people at the hands of the police for this to happen. And on a much lighter and happier note, Derek Carr and his family are welcoming a baby girl. And he and his wife did their gender reveal by him smashing a golf ball and watching it explode into pink dust, which I kind of like. I might have to steal that. So congratulations to Derek Carr. This will be their 4th child and their 1st daughter. So he is now officially a girl dad. For Vegas Nation Blitz, I'm Adrian Iadarko. Stay tuned. Cassie Soto will be joined by a Raider who just got some fresh ink that makes him a Raider for life.
Who was the last team the Raiders beat in a playoff game? Was it A, Houston Texans, B, Miami Dolphins, C, New York Jets, or D, Tennessee Titans? Stay with us for the answer. Welcome back, everyone, to Vegas Nation Blitz. I'm your host, Cassie Soto. I am very pleased to be joined this week by Las Vegas Raiders defensive end and fan favorite, the man himself, Mad Maxx Crosby. Max, thanks so much for taking some time.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, of course. Well, I just want to ask you about how quarantine life is going for you. You got a new puppy that we just saw on screen. You added Leo to the group, but you also made the biggest commitment to excellence recently, and you got the Raiders Shield logo tattooed on your arm. You got to show this thing off for us. What made you want to do this?
I got it right here. It's peeling right now, but we got it done. So yeah, it came up on Twitter. I made a little tweet and I was like, it was a few months ago, and I was like, I got to get a Raider tattoo, and the fans obviously stuck to it, and they were, pressing me about it after, a couple weeks. So, yeah, I saw Josh. Josh got one, and then Cleveland got one, and I was like, all right, it's time. I need to get some work done on my arm, and it fit in perfect to my sleeve, and it's definitely always going to be a part of me for sure.
So, who's next on the 2019 draft class to get tatted up?
I've been seeing a movement for Hunter Renfrow since he's got no tattoos. So that would be amazing. I would love to see Renfrow with one.
We'll see what happens there. But awesome that you did that, Max. I don't know about that one, but we'll see what happens with that. Well, on a little bit more serious note here, Max, I do have to ask, you have been recently pretty vocal in showing your support for the Black Lives Matter protest and really standing up for the guys that you suit up next to and take the field with on Sundays. Why was it important for you to show your support, to voice your support for those athletes that you call family?
Yeah, my whole life I've been playing sports. I've grown up in multicultural, atmospheres, and some of my best friends and, guys who I call brothers are African American and Mexican. And, to me, it's just really sensitive to me, and seeing how insane some of the stuff that's been going on. It's sad to see that this is still going on in the year 2020. It's horrible. And yeah, for me as a white guy in America, I obviously, I have privilege that, some of my, teammates and great friends, don't have. And, for me to just sit there and be quiet about it, it's absolutely, not what I'm about. I'm a real individual, and, I definitely care about them, just like family. So I'm gonna support them all the way.
All right. Well, that's awesome of you to do that and to really use your platform for good there, Max. Well, as far as things go on the field now, you had an incredible rookie campaign, 36 solo tackles, 10 sacks, 4 forced fumbles. I'm not sure back in 2019 that some teams had you highlighted on their who to watch out for list there, Max. But coming into this year now, teams are going to be fully aware of when number 98 steps on the field. Having that sort of target on your back, how does that motivate you more now for their second time around?
I love it. I'm ready for it. I've been putting in the work. And, I went through the same thing in college. My first year when I finally, broke out and everything, everyone was talking like, you're going to get a lot more attention, this and that. And, I welcome that. I'm excited. I can't wait to just get back out on the field and, show people what I can do and, show everybody that it wasn't just a flash in the pan and, I'm going to be here for a long time.
Well, Max, some huge offensive weapons were definitely added during the offseason and, of course, during the NFL draft this year. But the defensive side of the ball also added some big talent, including a new D-line coach in Rod Marinelli. What sort of expectations are you putting on your guys to really help step up and take sort of the load off for the offense?
It's looking back at last season, you see the games we lost, a lot of them coming down to the end of the game and losing because we can't get a stop. It's little stuff like that, the games like Jacksonville, that comes up all the time in the back of my head because, those are the games we have to win. And, now we got the players, we have more experience, we got better, we got better in every phase, I feel like, as an organization on both sides of the ball. and obviously with the coaching staff, we're just continuing to grow and get better. And we're just trying to help our offense out. Obviously Derek getting, more weapons that he needs, and our O-line being so solid, and Josh, all them. I have no worry about the offense. As a defense, we gotta step up and do what we got to do. And I'm ready to take that step. And I know a lot of other guys on the team are ready to do it as well. So it's going to be awesome. Our linebacking crew is going to look a lot different. Our DBs are going to be young, but we also have, vets behind them. And, right now we don't know as far as starters and all that, but we added a lot of vets that are going to help out with these young guys and get everyone going at the right pace and, get ready to shut some people down.
Well, as far as training camp goes for you guys this season, Max, word has come out that you will now be moving from Napa, California, and you'll be training here in your facility in Henderson, Nevada. How excited are you to open up that brand new building? It's state of the art. It looks incredible. You say you live in Henderson, so I'm sure you've driven past it a couple times. How ready are you to get in there?
Oh yeah, it's going to be amazing. I have a secret source that's been sending me all the recent updates day to day on the buildings and the stadium and all that. And it's going to be incredible. It's obviously it's tough leaving Oakland, because we loved Oakland and the fans were so great. But it's going to be, as far as facilities and all that go, it's going to be a crazy improvement. And I feel like this is what the organization needs. We need to take it to the next step. Not only on the field, but off the field as well.
Well, last one for you here, Max, for me. I recently spoke with Mo Hurst and asked him what he's been up to in quarantine. And it sounds like he's been kicking your butt in Madden. He says he's 5-0 against you, says it's no competition. I'll give you the time now to go ahead and defend yourself against that.
Mo's a funny guy. He says 5-0, but we've played 5 times in the last whole year. We played once, and that was like a month ago. So, I've been working on my skills. I'm ready to, get back on the field, and get my thing rolling.
All right. Well, Max, thanks again for taking the time. Best of luck to you guys whenever you get a step on the field again.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Once again, that was Las Vegas Raiders defensive end Maxx Crosby. On the way back, Heidi Fang and Adam Hill will give us a deeper look into the logistics of training camps around the league. Stay with us. The answer is D, Tennessee Titans. Rich Gannon scored 4 touchdowns as the Raiders beat the Titans 41-24 to advance to Super Bowl 37.
Welcome back to the Vegas Nation Blitz. It's Heidi Fang here along with our NFL writer, Adam Hill. And we're going to talk a little bit about NFL training camps, which this year we're going to see some different things as NFL teams have been told that they have to have their training camps wherever their team headquarters is. So Adam, what does that mean for some teams and which ones are going to be most affected by it?
One of the things that it does is a lot of teams like to get away, whether it be because of the weather, because of camaraderie and building the team chemistry and things like that. So teams are going to have to kind of alter their plans and try to figure those things out in different locations. And teams that have been doing it for a long time, we know the Raiders have been in Napa for a long time. The Cowboys train in California. They've had their training camp for a long time. The Chiefs up in Wisconsin. For different reasons, these teams have had their camps in different places. So you have to figure out how to get those same chemistry building activities and do those at your home facility. I think the biggest difference really is some of these small towns that are impacted. When the Raiders go to Napa, that's a big thing for the community. When I mentioned the Chiefs going up to Wisconsin, that is a huge thing that people build their calendars around for the summer. So as far as the teams go, I think they're going to be fine. They're just going to figure it out. The practices will be very similar, but this offseason is crazy in general. So I think it's just one of those things you have to just keep figuring out how to adapt, and teams will do that. We'll see how much it does impact teams that have really new players. That's the biggest one. If you have a lot of new guys, a lot of guys you're trying to work into your system, that's who it affects the most. But every team's on the same playing field, so really there's no competitive advantage.
Well, if you look at it, we had already discussed the Raiders earlier. I know Vinny and Cassie had talked about that, but when you look at the Raiders, they are a very young team. So how much do you think, when you look at the scale, do you think that this team is going to be impacted?
Yeah, I think it will be significantly because, like I said, like for Derek Carr, it's his third year in the system. Like that's pretty good, but it is a lot of new guys in the secondary, all new guys. You've got new receivers to try to work with, and I know they're trying to build chemistry right now. They're out at the park, they're hanging out, playing, throwing the ball around, but it's just not the same to have those reps. It's going to be tough, but again, it's not like anybody else has that advantage. It's not like the Raiders are the only team not going through it. In fact, this season, the fact that it's so weird for the Raiders to be moving, it's kind of nice that no other team for them gets that edge. So no other teams are in a routine or in a rhythm because the Raiders are in the same boat as everybody else, even though they're moving.
All right, Adam, thank you so much for that. We'll be back next week here on the Vegas Nation Blitz. But right now, let's go ahead and take a look at a moment here in Raiders history. In this episode of Raiders history, we look back on the Raiders' 1982 move to Los Angeles and their return to Oakland in 1995. In 1982, the Raiders relocated to Los Angeles with hopes of eventually getting their own new stadium. But the path to LA began in 1980 when Al Davis had unsuccessfully attempted to get Oakland to renovate the Coliseum. So, on March 1st, 1980, he signed a memorandum of agreement to move the team to LA. Though the league owners voted against the move, Davis tried to move the team anyway. He was stopped by an injunction and joined a lawsuit filed by the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. The Raiders also filed their own lawsuit against the NFL. The first case was declared a mistrial, but in May 1982, a second jury found in favor of Davis and the Coliseum, stating that the National Football League had violated the Sherman Antitrust Act by forbidding the team to move to LA. The Raiders moved to LA, and in their first home game against the San Diego Chargers on November 22nd, 1982, the Los Angeles Raiders won 28-24. In their second season in LA, the team defeated the Redskins 38-9 to win Super Bowl 18. In subsequent seasons, the Raiders struggled to win games, and it became increasingly difficult to fill the 100,000 seats in the Coliseum. Raiders games were blacked out on TV, and Al Davis started looking for a new home. In 1987, Al Davis spoke with the city of Irwindale about getting a new stadium. City officials gave the Raiders $10 million on a deposit that they lost when the team did not pursue the deal. In March 1990, Al Davis said the Raiders would return to Oakland by 1992. But in September of that year, the deal fell apart and the team went back to LA. Finally, in 1995, the path to return to Oakland was paved. Davis signed a letter of intent to return in March, and in July, the move was approved. The board governing the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum agreed to give $85 million for stadium renovations, $31.9 million to help the Raiders move and complete their relocation in time to start the season, and the Raiders would get another $10 million for construction of training facilities. According to the LA Times, part of Davis's decision to move back to Oakland was to avoid waiting until 1997 to get a stadium built in Hollywood Park. The site will now become the home of the Rams and the Chargers in 2020, and the Raiders will play in Las Vegas in this coming season. But that is a story for another time. We'll be back next week with another episode of Raiders History.
Welcome back, everyone, to Vegas Nation Blitz. Well, the road ahead for the Las Vegas Raiders will end up here at Allegiant Stadium. Cassie Soto and Mick Akers here for Vegas Nation Blitz. Mick, we can't see it from here, but just a few weeks ago, Cruz went ahead and opened up the incredible lanai doors for Allegiant Stadium, showing the Al Davis torch, that huge structure. How significant of a moment was that for this stadium?
It's pretty large. It's been closed for a few months now, so that was the first, look inside the stadium in quite some time. Obviously, it's an 85-foot tall, structure, so largest 3D printed item in the world. Raiders emblem, engraved on the side of it. It spans multiple sites of the stadium here. It's going to be one of the, the key centerpieces. We know once fans are inside, there's a 55,000 square foot club around it. Obviously, when you're inside, you get the view of the Las Vegas Strip in the background. It's kind of one of the, monumental, parts of this stadium, and it's also the only club that's open up to all ticket holders at the stadium as well.
Well, if there's one thing we know about Las Vegas, Mick, is that it gets hot here. So what are the Raiders doing to help protect their fans when they're here on game day from the sun and the heat?
Yeah, aside from, inside, everyone keeps asking, is it going to get hot? Yes, there's air conditioning. So there's that inside. But when you're outside and you're getting the tailgating in, or you're checking out some of the pre and post game activities around the stadium, they're installing these shade canopies around the entire stadium. You're kind of looking up right now. It looks like little half circles going up around the entire stadium. Looks like they're going to run about, everywhere around the stadium where there's sidewalk. There's going to have all kinds of game day activations, with some of their founding partners and Ford and such like that. So there's going to be a lot of stuff going on around outside of the stadium. And, it gets hot, especially the first part of the season. It's going to be a little hot still, summer going into fall where we're still 90s and 100s here. So that's going to come and play a lot. But, a lot of people have been asking about that because, they know our temperature out here. And, yes, they planned ahead. So no worries there. It's going to be good.
Well, Mick, we also know that Allegiant Stadium will be home to the UNLV Rebels. So how are they going ahead and making their way and making their new home part of their own?
Yeah, this past week they put a public sale on their season tickets. They first were only open to some of their athletic fund members and some previous season ticket holders. So now they went on sale. They range from $125 up to $425. But the cool thing about the UNLV tickets are anyone that's in between the 10-yard lines on each side can use the sideline access clubs up on the stadium here. So with the Raiders, only the Perry-Style Club by the lanai doors is open to everybody. So the rest of them aren't. So there's about 10 of them. This one you can have there on both sides. Any fan can go up there and enjoy it. It gives that little, extra game day atmosphere, that's kind of missing at Sam Boyd Stadium.
Wonderful. Well, Mick, thank you so much for the updates as always.
Thanks for having me.
That'll do it for this week's episode of Vegas Nation Blitz. For all of your Raiders fast takes and smart coverage, head to vegasnation.com. For Vegas Nation Blitz, I'm Cassie Soto.